Grandfather Bradford. William woke up in the middle of a summer night. Lightning was flashing at his window. Thunder came rolling down over the land like 100 barrels full of stones rolling downhill. The wind rushed into his room. A door banged downstairs. Then the rain began. It fell in big heavy drops, and it fell faster and faster. The thunder crashed again. It was nearer this time. William pulled his head down under the covers. He was, well, just a little afraid. The thunder was so loud and so close. Then he thought of Mercy, huddled out in the sheep pen beyond the barn with all the other sheep. She was 3 months old now. Every day he had looked after her and loved her. When the sheep were let out of the pen each morning, William would follow them into the pasture and out onto the moor. As soon as Mercy saw him, she would come jumping up in her stiff-legged, bouncing way and nuzzle him with her cool black nose. Then he would kneel down and put his arm around her and talk to her. Now she was out in the open pen. William was warm and safe in bed. It would be easy to lie here and go to sleep again, but he told himself he was a shepherd now. He was a yeoman. His grandfather had said so. William crawled out of bed. The floor felt cold against his bare feet. He put on his baggy, knee-length breeches. He put on his tight-fitting jacket. Then he crept quietly across the room. To get to the stairs, he had to go around the big chimney and through a little door into his grandfather's room. It was very dark in his grandfather's room. He put his hands in front of him to feel the way. He went slowly so as not to stumble or hit anything. "Make haste slowly," Grandfather had said. Now he understood what Grandfather meant. He had heard Grandfather breathing deeply. William stepped carefully so as not to wake him. Lightning lighted up the room. It was as if he had opened his eyes quickly and then closed them again. He held his breath as he went toward the stairs. Grandfather turned over in bed. William stopped. Would Grandfather wake up and send him back to bed? Would Grandfather think him foolish to go out in the middle of the night? Was it wrong, what he was doing? Would he be punished for getting soaked with rain? Slowly the little boy crept down the stairs. His feet went swish swish in the rushes that covered the floor. He lifted his legs higher, went into the kitchen, and let himself out the back door. The rain fell so hard it was like little pebbles hitting him. In a moment William was wet from head to foot. He almost turned back to the warm, dry house behind him. But he had to go on. A shepherd couldn't be afraid of a little rain. The sheep were all huddled together in the pen. They were so close together that their backs made one huge blanket of wool. When the thunder crashed, they bleated as if they were afraid. "Mercy!" William called. "Mercy, where are you?" Somewhere in the middle of all those sheep, he heard a lamb bleat. Slowly he made his way through the sheep. He felt in front of him with his hands. Then all at once he felt a soft nose poking at his hand and a rough little tongue against his fingers. He knelt down and put his arms around the lamb. "I'm here, Mercy," he said. "You don't have to be afraid." When he said that, he knew himself was not afraid anymore. He knew that he would never be afraid of thunder and lightning again. He knew that he was being watched over, too. And he whispered the words his grandfather had read to him. "The Lord is my shepherd." Just as he was starting back to the house, he heard Grandfather calling him. William met him in the yard near the pig trough. Every time the lightning flashed, William could see the old man's face. It looked shiny with rain. "I had to see if Mercy was all right," William told him. "You'd best get back to the house now," Grandfather said. He put his wrinkled hand on William's shoulder. "You don't have wool on your back to keep you dry." In the morning, Grandfather was coughing. When Mrs. Witherby tried to feed him one of her homemade medicines, he wouldn't take it. The next day he was worse. "You'll have to go get your mother," Mrs. Witherby said to William. "I can't tend him by himself day and night." William felt proud that Mrs. Witherby trusted him to carry such an important message. He started down the narrow road. Grandfather's big house was the last one in the village. It was about 1.5 miles to the house where Mother lived. He had never gone by himself before. He stopped in the middle of the road and kicked at the dirt with his square-toed shoes until little clouds of dust rose up. Then he turned around and ran to the pasture. The sheep were still there. They hadn't gone out onto the moor yet. "Mercy!" he called. "Oh, Mercy!" He opened the gate. Mercy came bouncing through. With each jump, she went up as much as she went forward. "Come on, Mercy," William called. "We're going for a walk." Mercy frisked along beside him. Down the road they went together. Sometimes Mercy would stop to nibble grass. Then William had to wait for her. Sometimes she would spring ahead so fast that William had to run to keep up with her. "Why, William," his mother said when he opened the door. But that was all she had a chance to say before Mercy jumped right into the room. "Grandfather's sick, and Mrs. Witherby says you'd better come and help take care of him," William said. He wanted to be sure to deliver the message before he forgot. Then his mother began to ask him questions about grandfather. Everyone forgot about Mercy. The next time they looked at her, there she was with her front feet up on a bench, and her little black nose was right in the middle of a bowl full of salad greens. "Shoo!" said William's mother. "Get out!" Mercy lifted her head. The fresh, juicy leaves hung from both sides of her mouth. "Bah!" she said. This meant very good. William's mother didn't think it was good. "Take that creature out of here," she said, "and tell Mrs. Witherby I'll come right away. I'll bring Alice with me, too." Before noon, Mother and Alice moved into the house. Grandfather was brought downstairs to the bed in the parlor. William had his sister Alice to play with now. If it hadn't been for Grandfather's illness, he would have been happy. Alice was 3 years older, but she didn't own a lamb. William let her play with Mercy. He promised to give her the first lamb that Mercy had. For several days, people kept coming to the house to see old William Bradford. Thomas and Robert Bradford came. They were young William's uncles. Most of the men of the village came. The visits made William uneasy. It scared him to have Grandfather in bed. Then one evening he was sitting alone on the big settle in front of the fire in the hall. It was lonely on the settle without Grandfather. He heard his mother come out of the parlor where Grandfather was. He jumped off the settle and went to meet her. "Does he want me to read to him?" William said. He couldn't really read, but he had heard "The Lord is my shepherd" so many times he could say it all the way through with his eyes shut. "Yes, William," she said. "He wants you to read to him." William ran to the big chest. He raised the heavy top and took out the book. Then he went to the parlor and stood quietly by the bed. Grandfather opened his eyes and then closed them again as if he were sleepy. "Shepherd," he whispered weakly. William knew what Grandfather meant, and read the words that he knew so well. "Yea, though I should walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." He saw Grandfather's hand reaching out. He put his own small hand over it. Then he saw that Grandfather was smiling. It was a kind of smile William had never seen before. It was calm and full of peace. He went very quietly out of the room. After Grandfather died, Uncle Robert and his family moved into the big house. They had lived on one of Grandfather's smaller farms before. William and Alice went to live in Mother's smaller house. Since there was no room for Mercy at this house, she had to stay at Grandfather's farm. Every day, early in the morning, William walked a mile and a half to the farm. He let the sheep out of the pen and led them to the moor. Late in the afternoon, he brought them back again. Sometimes Alice went with him. One winter day, he was starting out of the house when his mother stopped him. "William, you're not going out today. Look, it's snowing. The sheep won't go out today." "I'm not afraid of snow," he said. "I'm not afraid of thunder and lightning. Why would I be afraid of snow? But it's cold and the wind is blowing." "I'm sure I can take care of myself, Mother," he said. William stepped around the corner of the house. The wind was driving the snow so hard that he had to shut his eyes. He had to bend his body over and push hard with his legs. Sometimes when he grew tired, he would turn around and let the wind blow on his back while he tried to catch his breath. It seemed a long way to the farm. It seemed a longer way back, but he made it. He made it all by himself. He hadn't missed a day since Mercy was born, and he didn't intend to. Then came days when William couldn't go to the farm. His mother was sick. She grew too weak to get out of bed. Both William and Alice had to help take care of the house. When Mother finally died, they were both sent back to Grandfather's old house to live with their Uncle Robert and Aunt Alice. Somehow, the house was not the same without Grandfather, but Tom and Jane were there. They were Uncle Robert's children, and William and Alice liked them both. "You can sleep in my room," Tom said to William. "It's big enough for both of us." Tom led William upstairs, just as if William didn't know the way. He took him through the little door in Grandfather's old room to the room beyond the big chimney. "Why, this is my room," William said. "This is where I used to sleep." "Well, it's mine now," Tom said. It was hard for William to understand how this room could now be Tom's and not his own. He had never thought of it except as his, but he didn't say anything. "There's still Mercy anyway," he thought. "She's mine. No one can take her away." That knowledge made him feel better.